Good morning, everyone. Well, when you get to watch this, I should be working. I'm working one day this week for sure. I've had a couple of other days that were tentative, but tomorrow is it. Tomorrow is the last day of filming for this show, and I still can't really talk about it. And it's second season, so it'll be out later, maybe this fall. In any case, it'd be nice. I'll take a couple of weeks off, and then I'll go back to scrounging what I can do next. Of course, if something comes up, I will be evaluating each film project. I get the choice of doing that. I'm not desperately looking for work, so I only pick shows that I like, and I only pick shows that I consider at least the part being good. But overall, the film has to be, or the TV show has to be relatively good. But even good actors take parts in bad movies. And the rule of thumb is just do your best in it. Don't be the reason it's bad. Okay. Just going to recap again. We're talking about some generalities again. If I go into detail on some stuff, I'm never telling you exactly how to do it. I'm telling you how I do it. That way I'm not opening myself up for lawsuits. Some people will take the most plain instruction and mess it up and blame you for it, and then sue you. So I'm never telling you what to do. Even when it comes to God, I'm never telling you what to do. I'm telling you what the Bible may say to do, or what the interpretation is that I'm giving you. But I never tell people what to do. You have to have that personal relationship with God so that you are directly plugged in. Without it, you can't operate. Okay, so what's going on in the news lately? SpaceX has just tested some new technology where they were able to send a video call, listen carefully, a video call from a phone through their satellites, through their Starlink satellites, and back down. They came back down to a landline connection, but they did the video call both directions through the satellite. Now, they don't have that many of these satellites up there yet. They still don't have full permission to do this. They're testing, and just like everything else they do, if it meets the requirements, the minimum requirements, then they'll be able to do it. So that's kind of what we're waiting on now, is to see. And this is ahead of schedule, because their original schedule was texting this year, maybe, some video next year. They did a full video call. So that's cool. I know we're getting into an age where the technology is going to be great, but we won't need any of that in heaven. We don't even need to have a night light, because it won't be dark. We won't need to sleep. Okay. Another bit of Tesla news. SpaceX is scheduling their next launch of their big rocket, the largest rocket in the world, somewhere between now and the middle of June, but could be as early as the last week of May and the first week of June. They're ready. They've already done a complete wet dress rehearsal where they've filled up the tanks, done everything except for the push the launch button. They've done all that, and it's passed. Now, how much have they fixed for the next rocket to be more successful? Hopefully everything that went wrong in the previous one. The rocket went up fine on 3. 2 went up pretty good. 1 was shaky, but 2 went up pretty good. 3 went up good. It's just that they couldn't maneuver when they got up there, and it didn't come down properly. The big rocket's supposed to be reusable. The big rocket, it's the same with their SpaceX Starship launches that they do. It's the main booster that goes up to get it close to space, comes back and is reused. And it doesn't have to have heat shields because it's not going that far up. And they do this. We've had 200 successful landings plus out of the ones that launch their satellite receivers or satellites that go up there. So they know how to do that. That's pretty straightforward rocket science. So hopefully the next one's going to come down. They're not going to land it. These are still prototypes. They're not going to land either part of it on land yet. This next launch is supposed to come back and just come down and land in the water. Now, it's not going to survive it. It's not designed for that. But if they can make it come down properly and land in the water, then they can move to the platform where they're supposed to. That big rocket's supposed to come back and come down, and this other parts that are used for the satellites, they can't hover. They come down and shut the engines off at exactly the right spot that it touches down. If it shuts off 5 feet early, you drop 5 feet. It doesn't. It comes down and runs until the very last second, and it's right there at the touchdown, and it shuts off right when it lands. The new one's not going to do that, the big one. It can come down and hover, and then the little chopsticks can come out and grab it, and once it's grabbed it, then it can lower it down. Okay. It's amazing technology that they're doing. It's too bad we're not going to get to see it. I don't know what God's got in plan for us. We've got to have challenges, and hopefully heaven has challenges, because we thrive off of challenges. We need them. And so next couple of weeks, that'll be going up. We've got more countries that are recognizing Palestine as a state. They've let so many Muslims into their country because they went through that whole phase of letting people come in across their borders without stopping them, just like the U.S. is. This is not a U.S. thing. This is a global, we're taking over the world method that they're doing. These people have come in and now have been voted into office and are making decisions that are anti-Israel. It's all part of the plan. Don't let it bother you. But every time a country is recognizing Palestine, Israel is recalling their ambassador. So they're breaking off diplomatic relations with them. The U.S., and not for the reason that you would hope, are threatening to defund the UN and any other agency, whether it's the Hague, the World Court, whatever, who are voting against Israel to the point where they're saying, these guys are committed genocide, which they haven't, but they're all Israel-hating Muslims in these countries that are running these things. And they're saying that they might issue an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. Well, the U.S. is saying that they will defund these organizations if they don't stop this policy. And it's not because we're friends with Israel. Our current administration is not. But they know that Mr. B would be next. They'd point their finger back at the U.S. and do the same thing and arrest U.S. leaders if we don't do what they want. So that's why the U.S. is voting to defund them if they do this. Not because it's right or wrong, because they don't want the finger pointed at them. So, in any case, that's in any normal court this wouldn't be a problem. But these are, I was trying to throw in Cain mutiny in there. If you're against the people that are in the chair there, you got to get a new judge and everything. Okay. So now let's look at what's going on here. We're still seeing progress in the wrong direction. This is an election year. We've talked about it, and it doesn't seem like it. So we know the plan. Their plan is to go to digital dollars. That will give them micromanagement capability of everything you do. Not only will they be able to see what you're spending your money on, and if you're doing things like illegal gambling and porn and stuff like that, don't worry, they like you. It's the good people that I don't expect YouTube to be on much longer, at least for me. And somebody says, well, go to Rumble. Well, I do. Look in the description. I have an address there, but I can't get people to move there. And I used to have ability to have Rumble go over and grab a YouTube video and pull it back and install it into Rumble. They've taken that away. Apparently YouTube sued them, so they can't do that. Now, in order for me to do that, I do everything on my phone. So I'd have to take the video off of my phone, put it on my laptop, and upload from my laptop, because the Rumble app does not work on the phone to upload videos. I don't know. It's free. And it came as a replacement for YouTube. And people are on it. But it's just, I can't get my YouTube viewers to go over there. It works different. I understand that. But eventually, you will have to go there, or there will be no broadcast anywhere. They could turn the internet off, in which case there'd be no broadcast. China does that. China blocks sites that they consider to be anti-government. Teaching you about freedom is anti-government. So they take a lot of sites down already. They just block it so you can't see them. There's pirated stuff, of course, but then you can go to jail for that. So we're going to cover some basic tips again. These are just basic tips. Again, I'm never giving advice. I can't give advice, because then I could be sued if you follow the advice wrong. Well, we tried to follow it, but he didn't explain it properly. No. While you can, for everything I talk about, Google it. Google's still relatively honest. They may hide stuff, like YouTube hides my channel sometimes. But if you can find if I tell you need to learn how to make a fire outside, just in case you've got no other way to cook, go learn how to make a fire. I used to say go get your kids into Boy Scouts and they'll learn how to make one for you, but I don't support them anymore. I haven't for a long time, and I'm an ex-Scoutmaster. So I've taught many boys to make fires. I've made many myself. They're easy to do. But I worry about what's going to happen when everything crashes. I was at my other campground, the state park, and some lady was there, and she was going to make a fire, and I said, I'm here if you need help. But they're too prideful to ask for help. And she goes, she's going to make a fire. So the next day, she's gone, and the remnants of what she tried to do was there. There was a big log in the fire, in the fire pit, in the fire ring, 6, 8 inches, 8 inches across anyway, big fire. And there's a whole box of matches spent. It's like she lit a match, put it under the log to get it to catch on fire, and it didn't do so. She grabbed another match. When the box was empty, she gave up. It's not how you make a fire, people. You start off with small twigs and leaves and anything that's small that will burn. You get the fire going, and then you put bigger pieces on it, and then you put bigger pieces on that until you have a fire going. Don't start this process until you've collected all the ingredients you need to make the fire. Because you can't leave the fire and go out and collect and come back, because it'll be out. So you have all the stuff you need to get it to the sustaining point. So you need things, you need small stuff, and you need bigger stuff, and then eventually you can put a larger log. But don't put a big log on it. That's why they have splitters. If you got an 8-inch log, you need to split that into at least 4 pieces, maybe 6 or 8, depending on how you want to use it. And if you're feeding a fire for cooking, you don't want to be having a big log in there. You want to be able to have smaller stuff that you can kind of move around a little bit. That's why a charcoal fire, if you've never built a fire, is your best bet if you're going to go camping. Just take some briquettes, lay them out, light them, use the fluid. There's better ways to light them that don't need the fluid. I have a little chimney thing that I use in Scouts, and I use for my camping if I'm going to build a fire. You put paper, you put the charcoal in it, put paper underneath, light it, and that chimney fire goes up that metal tube, and it causes the charcoal to cook. And when you see the white edges around it, then it's ready to pour in and use. But don't do it until you see the white edges. Otherwise, it's too variable. And it's 25 degrees per briquette when you put them in a stack to put like a Dutch oven on top. And you can put charcoal on top of the Dutch oven and make it a full oven. If it's underneath, it's a frying pan, but if it's on top, it's a full oven, 25 degrees per briquette. And you can have another stack cooking and just move them over, have some tongs that you use for that. Okay, so getting back to surviving. What happens? My mouse is starting to act up again. So I wanted to be able to follow my script here, but it's acting up. Okay, so what happens if the dollar goes to zero? You have $1,000 in the bank. I'm just making a number up. It could be 100. It could be 100 million. It could be 10,000. It could be 1,000. Doesn't matter. Whatever's in the bank goes to zero or close to it. What are you going to do? You can't go to the market and buy food because you don't have any money. And the people that have money that invested in something else can go there and buy all the food, and there'll be no food left by the time you get there. So you need to have a stash of food. I've talked about this. Only buy food that you eat anyway. Don't buy food that you will never eat. Don't buy, snails if you've never eaten snails. I don't care what the price is. Eat things you normally eat and just rotate them. Rotate the stock so you're always using the oldest and keeping the newest at the back, so that way you're never going to be outdated. So be prepping. And if you can't afford to prep, yes you can. Instead of buying 1 can of bean, buy 2 cans of beans. You can prep. You just got to watch what you're doing. Okay, I am having mouse issues again, so I'm going to try to shut that down and see if I can open this up. Okay. And the reason I'm telling you to prep, the government's going to come back in and save you. They're going to come and give you digital dollars. And they may give you a seed amount, but it's going to take them a while. This is the government. They can't do anything fast. It might take them a week, 2 weeks, a month to start getting people. People will start getting it, but it may take 6 months to get everybody their money so that you can live on. So you got to have enough food to survive until the government comes in. Don't worry about the digital dollar. It is not the problem. Okay? Bowing down to the Antichrist in order to be able to use it, that's the problem. But initially, they're not going to do that because they got to get you on it and using it first. They can't make you give up something you're not using. Okay? So don't be afraid of it. It's the mark of the beast you don't want. And anyone who gets the mark of the beast, they're following Satan into hell. And then from there to the fiery pit. So guaranteed, don't get the mark of the beast, whatever you do. Okay, and people will die because of this transition, but they don't want everybody to die all at once, because then the people that they need left over to be servants will refuse to be servants. They can't have a full anarchy of all the people. It's got to appear to be natural. It's got to appear to be, oh, COVID was just such a bad timing for something like that. Yeah. It was man-made, man-released, but yet we don't blame man for it, huh? Yeah. Okay, so anyhow, learn some basic outdoor things just in case you have to. So, let's see what the Bible says about it. I got to be able to have some of this. Matthew 24:13. But he that shall endure till the end, the same shall be saved. Now, enduring spiritually and physically, if you die, don't worry. God's going to resurrect everybody who's a Christian that's died. But if you can survive till the end, then you can help people along the way. And that's why we're here. That's the only reason as Christians we're here. Otherwise, as a Christian, boom, right to heaven. Just get out of here, leave here. I'm a Christian. I don't need to be here anymore. Wrong. You've learned personally, but you've still got a lot to learn about being a Christian. And then you got to help others. Okay. James 1:2. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. We all get one crown when we go to heaven. You want to try to get more than one, because they give them out for other things you can do down here. Get the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. We talked about love last time. That's the way to get to heaven. Loving Christ and all the other stuff. You know what I mean. Don't go twisting my words. Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. What's more beautiful in the sky than an eagle flying? Very majestic, powerful. That's why the eagle's on many state buildings and flags and things around the world even. So the bottom line here is really simple. I can't tell you when the rapture is, but I'm telling you it's at the last second that we can be here, which means we're going to be here during some tough times. Now, they're getting tougher as we go. We're in birth pangs right now, and they're going to get increasingly bad. The harlot is taking over the world. We can see that. It's plain and simple. The ruling class, the 7 kings, or the 7 leaders, which aren't kings, but are kings from the point of view that they have so much money they can command people. They're basically changing the world. The beast is supporting right now what's going on. At some point in time, though, the beast is going to get tired of that and help destroy the harlot and take over. That's coming, but we don't have to be around for that. So I can't tell you when the rapture is, but I can tell you that the government is close to total collapse, and the money is close to total collapse. What better way for a government that wants to dominate the world to destroy the strongest country in the world, and the most Christian country, at least it was, in the world? It's going to happen this year. I guarantee it. I've bet my life on it. It's happening. Because the people that are in power right now don't want to give it up. We have a leader with dementia. Obvious. I feel sorry that he has to deal with that. And he's not leading, and he's not doing all this. He's the puppet. Pray for your enemies, please. That's our instruction too. So the money's going to collapse, so you got to have a way to get by. So what can you do? Well, buy enough food for 3 to 6 months. Now, if you're eating 3 full big meals a day, you're a little overweight like I am, we can all stand to cut down anyway. So just go on a diet. Cut down from 3 meals a day to 2, or even 1. I have a very light breakfast. I have a lunch. I might have something in the evening, but for the most part, those are my 2 main meals. I might snack a little bit in the afternoon, but that's it. And I do fine, and I still hold my weight too much. I got to get rid of more of this weight. And like I said, you buy the food you normally eat, get out a black marker, permanent marker, and just write the dates on them. It takes you very little effort as you pull them out, put a date on them. You don't have to put the minute you brought it. You can put the month and year would be fine. 3/24. Okay, March 24. Done. Mark everything. Some things, if you buy it in large bulk, bring it home and package it into smaller containers and put it in the freezer. Marking it as well. They have a place to write on most freezer bags. So that way you know how long it's been in there. A lot of things will last for a long time, but if they get freezer burnt, they're no good. Throw them out. Now, if you lose power, you're going to lose your refrigerator and your freezer. So if you don't have a backup solution like a backup generator, then you're going to be in trouble with that. And that you need to have backup fuel sources. What are you going to do if you run out of gas for your generator? There's a right way to do this and a wrong way. I've seen videos of people pulling up to a gas pump, filling up baggies, freezer bags, full of gas to take it home. Don't do that. That's dumb, dangerous. Someone's going to die. Okay? They make proper containers for gas, but you don't want 500 gallons in little containers all over the place. That's also dangerous. If you're going to have gas at home, have a tank put in. And a pump, a manual pump, if you won't have electricity. That's how you do it. Okay, so food you got to make sure you stock up on. And in case we get out of here with the rapture, lay tracks around it. I've talked about that before. Water is also important. If you know something's coming because they've started talking on the news, run and start filling up everything you've got full of water. if it seems to be a problem. Turn the water on in your bathtub. Fill the bathtub up. Fill your sinks up. And then get pots and pans and start filling them up. Now, a lot of this isn't going to keep properly. Water in pots and pans would be good to carry into the bathroom to fill the toilet up so you could flush it. You know, if you've got water in your bathtub, some of the stuff, if it sits for a while, you may not, and especially if it's in the bathtub, you may not want to drink it, but you could boil it and filter it. But you got to have something to start with. Boiling water will get rid of pathogens if you boil it long enough. Google it and find out how long you got to boil. And just remember your elevation wherever you live. If you live in Denver, you got to boil longer than if you live in Miami, because water boils at different temperatures. Okay. If you're going to store this stuff, you got containers that you're going to store bottled water in. Again, there's a life expectancy for that. You can treat water. You put a little bit of chlorine in there of some sort and just let it sit there. But after a while, that evaporates out because most plastic is porous. And never put water in a container that held chemicals of any kind. Don't use a bleach bottle because the plastic absorbs what's in there. You might get too much bleach in there and that wouldn't be good for you. And certainly don't use a pesticide bottle or anything else that's got something harmful in it. Water for water. If you don't have enough water bottles, go buy a big jug. Buy one of those coolers. I have 2 or 3 of them in my storage unit that you take out to a picnic. You have the big cooler with the top on it. You can make bug juice in it if you want. Have a couple of those. And it's quick and easy, and you got a spigot on the bottom. You can just set it up on the counter, and everybody can have water. But treat it. Take care of it. Make sure it's okay. Longer term storage, you've got a hot water tank. There's water in that. You can drain it. So there's another supply of water. Okay. And don't drink stream water or lake water unless you treat it. Most places nowadays, they're contaminated with something. Maybe Giardia, maybe other things. Look up if you see animals on the riverbank. Go further upstream. Quick story here. I was in Boulder, Colorado. That's the home of the Coors brewing plant. If you look at a bottle, they've got the plant there, the waterfall and all that stuff. Beautiful picture. That really does exist, and that waterfall runs down and goes right through the building. So when you're on a tour, you get to see that. I was there one time and there were sheep up on the hill, right where the waterfall is. Yeah, good downstream beer. I don't drink beer anymore, but at one point in time, Coors is not my favorite beer, but I used a number of different beers for different purposes. A good drinking beer, I preferred a nice stout or a dark beer, but I'd make what I'd call a bloody beer. It's like a Bloody Mary, only you use beer. Use a spicy tomato juice or Clamato or some other flavored tomato juice and put beer in it and put a celery stick in it and an olive, and you got a bloody beer, and they're pretty good. But you don't want to waste a good beer on that. So you use Coors or Hamm's or Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever, for that kind of stuff. Okay, that's an aside, personal aside. Some people are going to need some of this stuff to help them get through this. And you can store Cokes and beer and things like that for a lot longer. So if you buy cases of stuff, you can stack those. Just make sure they're in a dry environment, that they don't sit in water or whatever, and that they're properly temperature controlled. You don't want fluctuations, so a basement or something would be good. Okay. I would assume at some point in time the internet's going to go down. I'll lose this channel, you'll lose your videos that you like to watch, or hopefully like to watch. Many of you do, and you tell me about it, and I appreciate your comments. But we're going to lose this. So, make sure you have a hard copy Bible, not even a Bible on your computer. I've got one on my computer, but I have a hard copy that I can carry around, because they may actually brick your computers. Because your computers will still function even without the internet. You just won't have data to refresh with new data. But if you've got stuff stored on it, you're going to have it there indefinitely. But if they take the internet down, You won't be able to refresh it, but what's there will stay. They can send a command out right now. It will turn your phone and your computer into a brick. That's all it's going to be good for, is building material, because you won't ever be able to use it again. They can make it so it won't power up. They can do it right now. But while they got everybody looking down at their phones and not paying attention to the world, they've got you where they need you, so they're not going to do that right now. But eventually, when they want to start taking over, they don't want communication going out. They don't want people comparing notes, saying, I'm doing this, I'm surviving here, or they're doing this, so look out. Or they don't want any of that. So it will go down. So get all the information you need off the internet and print out hard copies, paper copies. Now, if you can't do that, get a flash drive. Where have I got a flash drive? Get a little flash drive. You take the cover off, it plugs into your USB port, and this is basically a hard drive. You can transfer files to this. You can plug it into your laptop or computer. In the back or on the front of your computer, there should be USB ports. Plug it in, transfer files, document files that you want to print out. Take them to a print copy place. Office Depot, Max, one of those type of things. I don't know if they're still in business, but find a place like that. There's 2 or 3 others I can't think off at the top of my head, but you can go to those places and they will basically take your drive, plug it into their printer, copy the files over and print them for you and give you a nice stack. They may even staple them. They could even put them in a binder for you. It costs money, so you got to plan on that, but it's not a lot. It's not for what you're going to keep. You got to make sure you know where birth certificates are, things like that. If they're at a bank and the bank closes, you may not get them back. So at least have a copy. Now, a lot of places won't take copies, but at least a copy is better than nothing. It will at least hold people off while you can request an original. Okay. So, computers might go down, phones might go down. I had a problem, I told you, with my phone before, where I broke the screen and I couldn't use it, and I was at a remote park, and I didn't remember exactly how to get back to town. So I had to basically drive a little out of my way to go to a town that I knew how to get to, where I could go to a new phone store and get a new phone. Because I was completely dependent upon it. I didn't have a map in the car. Well, now I have maps in the car for where I'm going, and if I go any place new, I'll get maps for there too. So I've got a paper backup. As an ex-scoutmaster, the motto, be prepared. Plan on things that could possibly go wrong. Carry a bug-out bag in your car. Okay? Make sure you defend yourself. When things start happening and people find out you've got stuff, you may have to hold them off. Now, the best defense is zip. Don't be telling people you've got 6 months worth of food in your basement. Don't be telling people that you've got 25 guns and ammunition to hold off an army. Don't be telling people any of that stuff. First off, you don't need that much. We're not going to be holding off an army. We're not surviving this war on Earth in a physical fight. We'll be out of here, so don't worry about that. But you're going to need a basic, survival guide for having the stuff that you've got. If you've got family members, don't go, I'm going to go back and get you a couple of cases out of my 200,000 cases that I've got and give them to you, because then they're going to tell somebody of their friends that you've got a whole bunch of stuff, and somebody's going to be a bad guy and come and take it and maybe kill you while they're at it. So always tell people, I don't have a whole lot, but I'll give you what I've got, some of what I've got. I'll share it with you. So that way they don't know you've got more. Don't be telling people. I have stores, but I don't have a lot. But I don't need a lot. Let me get my bow and arrow and I can go out in the woods and catch dinner. I know how to build a fire and cook it over the fire. I don't need a lot. But most people can't do that. Okay, keep your car gassed up. At this time of day, right now, what happens if the money crashes right now and you didn't fill your tank up. You're going to go to the gas station to get gas, and you're not going to have any money on your card. And the people that do have money on their cards are going to take all the gas that's left because they're going to go in and hoard it. They're going to drive every vehicle they got down there and fill them up, which you should be doing anyway. Everything you've got should be full. If you have a tank and it's half full, you can get condensation built up in there and you get water in your tank. So all tanks should be kept full most of the time. If you're driving and you use up a half a tank of gas during the day driving, well, at the end of the day, fill it up. Keep your tanks full. It's good for you that way. That way you can at least drive for a tank's worth of gas if you have to leave the area. And again, don't store gas at home unless you do it properly. The rich people will have tanks there that they fill up their fleet of Ferraris with. Okay? They've already taken care of everything. Get up to date with your doctor. If you haven't been to the doctor in a while, go see him. Get a physical. Make sure you're okay. And if you have prescriptions, make sure you have enough for a couple of months. Now, some prescriptions are narcotic-based or whatever that you can't, if you're taking pain meds and stuff like that, you can't get that much. I understand that. Have an alternative anyway, just in case. Talk with your doctor and find out, if I run out of this, what can I use? They may say, Advil, Tylenol, whatever. They may get the extra strength versions. Whatever. Do what your doctor tells you. I'm not giving you medical advice. But go see your doctor and come up with a plan. Again, I've talked about it. Make sure you learn some outdoor technique. If you don't even know how to operate a barbecue, do that. But never run a barbecue or a heater or a generator near an open window. Make sure it's far enough away. And you can tell which way the wind's blowing. Wet your finger. The side that gets cold is the direction the wind's coming from. This way. I have a fan sitting right there, so that's why. That's a basic outdoor technique. If the wind's blowing straight towards your house, move around the corner. You don't want all that smoke going into your house. Carbon monoxide can kill you, and has. I'm not going to tell you stories that I know where people have died from it. Have backups in case the power goes out. Now, you don't have to hook up a monster generator. You don't have to hook up a DC thing. You don't have to have solar power. But if you can do it, do it. But as a minimum, bare minimum, have flashlights with working batteries. And rotate your batteries too. If you got a box of batteries, put the date you bought it on. Rotate them. You got to make sure these work, otherwise they're useless. And batteries will go bad after a while and they will start leaking. So if you're going to take a flashlight and put it someplace, don't put the batteries with it. Keep the batteries separate in a separate bag or something so that they're not there. They actually make long-term batteries, and they typically look like military batteries, which is probably where they came from. They're in two pieces. They're not a battery until you put them together. At which point then the chemicals, which the battery is a chemical processing plant, the chemicals make the battery work. But you store them separately so they're not running down, the chemicals aren't blending together and then dissipating. So the battery's no good. The battery is only as good as the amount of electricity that's still being stored in it, potential through the chemicals. If you're not sure about power, like on a freezer, this is a freezer trick. Get a small tin of something that you can put water in. It can be plastic, it can be metal, it can be anything, but you got to be able to put at least an inch of water in it. Put it in the freezer and let it freeze. Now if it tips over, you don't have to worry, it's just ice. But it's ice in a container. Put a quarter on top of it. If you ever find that quarter at the bottom, throw that food out. Because that means your freezer de-thawed and the ice melted and the quarter's at the bottom. That's a good way to test. You don't have to, you can buy expensive thermometer type things that you can put in there that record temperatures and will let you know. If you're in an RV, they have these type of things in case power goes out while they're out and about. They have this type of stuff, and if you got animals in an RV or whatever and you want to make sure that they're cool, you want to know if the power goes out. So there's things that will send you a Wi-Fi signal. Make sure that whatever's going to send you the signal is plugged into a battery backup unit. So if the power goes out, the battery will run long enough for you to get the message. And put important stuff on it. I have a battery unit down here. I've got stuff plugged into it now. But if the power goes out, I'll unplug everything that's in it now and take it over and plug my refrigerator into it. So my refrigerator will run for 3 days. Not opening and closing it every 5 minutes. You know how it is. If you go camping and you throw a bag of ice in the cooler and the kids are opening it every 30 seconds, that ice would be gone by 10 a.m. So, protect your environment. Okay. I've gone a little longer, but this was a lot of information that you need to have. I think I'll make tomorrow's video a little shorter, just to spare you. We got to get back into maintaining ourselves properly. We're going to have to survive this. You need to do some physical activity, not just mental activity. Listen to what the first commandment was that we just talked about love. Love God with your mind, soul, and spirit. We're made up of all the things that we are, and our body is part of that. Maintain a good, healthy body. It will help you to live healthier, because when you get old, your body's pretty well worn out, and it can't adapt to things very easily. And if you didn't take good care of it, it's going to let you down when you need it to stand up. So, take care of yourself. Do some basic exercises. There's an old guy that he's dead now, had a TV show, Jack LaLanne. He was there for one reason. One, he was physically fit, so the women would enjoy watching him. But he was for the wives that were home, taking care of the kids, doing the housework or whatever. He's saying, look, you need to do some exercise. And he'd show you how to grab just a kitchen chair and do a leg lift, or different things that he would do. Use whatever's there. You don't have to have an expensive gym or a membership someplace. You can use things. I've got a couple of weights over here that I have on my bench that I will use, but you don't have to have those. Fill up a couple of bottles of gallons of water, and you can lift those. Hold them out over the sides. You can lift them. You can do whatever you need to do. Stay in shape. You don't have to be ready to go run a marathon. You don't have to be ready to get into the boxing rink or any of the other things that you can think of that are extremes. You just need to be able to get up and walk across the room without stopping to take a breath. Go out and get the mail out of the mailbox without having to stop 3 or 4 times. If you can only walk 5 feet, walk the 5 feet. But do it enough times. Have a chair with you so you can sit down. Have a chair at each end. Things you can do. Again, I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you what I would do. If you need to, talk to your doctor about physical activity. What can you do? Knowing that most medical doctors would rather give you a pill than tell you how to take care of your body. So you got to find the right kind. Take care of yourself, because you're going to have to survive this. What's coming? Because we have people that are going to be, the boat's sinking, and we got to get people into the lifeboats. You got to get a life jacket on them first, and then you got to get them into the boats. And we got to help people. If you're on a plane and it goes down, you got to help people get out the door, because they're going to panic and they're going to try to carry everything. And you can't take anything with you on a plane out the door. You can't take anything to heaven either. So just get used to that idea. Just get yourself out. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.